All right, folks. I posted yesterday that I'm thinking of trying something different than the format I've pretty much been doing for 90 plus percent of the videos I have on here. I've done a couple of, lecture style where I put together a PowerPoint or other materials where I just talk about a topic rather than responding to news items. But a lot of people do news response. A lot of people do things like that, and I I don't really feel that I can do it any better than them. And honestly, as a history major and a political science junkie and social studies teacher, I really don't feel like I should just respond to the news. So what I'm toying with is similar to a daily vlog, although I doubt it will be daily. And it's not in the sense of what people think about on YouTube, where you have people like Roman Atwood or others that have video taken during their day as they go about their day and, visit the merch warehouse or go do something or whatever it may be. This is more along the lines of what I think of when it comes to how I would open a class. Although, of course, it would be, for me, done at the end of my day, but it would really be kind of discussing the issues and topics in a wider sense. One of the examples that comes to mind is looking at all of the coverage of COVID-19 coronavirus. I've seen stories where doctors are parroting almost verbatim the Pelosi or Schumer or Feinstein or Sanders or Biden line. I mean, we see examples of this on Twitter where you'll take 6 or 7 of the prominent DNC personalities, and every single one of them is using the same tag, existential crisis or whatever it may be. But it's more for me. For example, on this, I started seeing a tweet where they would say, Dr. So-and-so has said that Trump must be removed for not responding to coronavirus properly. And you'll get people who respond, I'm a doctor, you're an idiot, or something along those lines. And I saw things like that, and I decided to call my doctor. And the guy who was my doctor when I was a child, and friends of mine who are in the medical industry, and talk to them. And while they agree, yes, coronavirus is something we should be very wary of, just like Ebola, just like pneumonia, influenza, and everything else that comes along. It is not this existential world-ending crisis like is being made out in the media. It's being politicized, just as Ebola was politicized, just as everything is politicized in the media. Never let a crisis go to waste. But this one is being politicized a little more because it's not something that has either made a resurgence. I mean, for crying out loud, you can go back 30 years or so, and you have the movie Outbreak, which was Ebola, which was really kind of the emergence of that virus. With the movie Outbreak, it was in that scenario a primate disease that had mutated after someone was bitten or scratched or something by a chimpanzee or an orangutan, I forget which one. But then it became a pandemic, and it didn't end the world. It was horrific, it was tragic, but it didn't end the world. With this one, it's being politicized in 2 ways. First of all, you have the privileged victims who are screaming, you're racist, you're racist, you're racist, for pointing out the truth that this did originate in China, and thus people should not travel to China. Those traveling from China should be very thoroughly checked by medical professionals, not government, medical, so that they can be screened and, if infected, treated. As Old Grey Wolf pointed out, the vaccine is in such an infancy that it will likely be a year, at least a year, before we have anything workable. Now, Senator Hawley is working on legislation that would basically loosen the ties on certain agencies' hands to allow them to do testing in different, in some cases, better ways. Because he rightly pointed out, a lot of what we get in this country comes from China, including our antibiotics, our face masks, and many, many other things. This has been decades-long setup. And now that we have coronavirus originating in China, we're going to start seeing problems because we don't make our own penicillin. We don't make our own other antibiotics, our own surgical masks. And we really should, honestly. But one thing that has been almost just quashed upon utterance is the prevailing theory that this virus stems from the dietary practice of eating live animals. I mean, there are people who eat live octopus, live skunk that's been killed. There's a reason you don't do that. And it's because raw, uncooked food of any kind carries disease. But what's not being talked about in two other senses is that so far, from what I've been seeing, the majority of cases where someone has died, it has not been solely and 100% COVID-19 coronavirus that's killed them. It's been the fact that they have a weakened immune system due to it, and they get pneumonia. They get something else. They already had something else. I'm being very, very careful because I'm a tuberculosis carrier, asymptomatic for 20-something odd years now, because I worked in a detention center for my county. Anyone who has been in law enforcement will tell you jails, no matter large or small, are breeding grounds for disease because you have many, many people in a very small amount of space per capita, and the inmates are there 24/7. The officers are there minimum of 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. You're gonna get sick. I had more actual sick days where, it wasn't migraine or my allergies that would mean I couldn't do my job. It was actually getting the flu or something like it in that year than I have on any other job. Because there's no way you can sterilize that place enough and clean it enough and treat the people and give them enough medical attention to prevent it. I'm very careful when donating blood now because I tell them I am a tuberculosis carrier. And they often tell me we will store it, but we probably won't ever use it. And as such, among other things, I've not donated blood in a long time. And I hate that, but it is an issue with me that I don't want to put people at risk. But the other part of it is the politicization of it. Until this last week or so, I believe the number of coronavirus cases in the U.S. was under 100, or very close to. And all of a sudden this week, when Pelosi ramps up her Trump is not doing enough and he has not moved fast enough mantra, Gavin Newsom suddenly announces there are 8,400 cases being tracked in California. I don't doubt that there are cases that could be tracked in California, and it would be the place where most people show up because it is a coastal state, and it is one of the closest states to Japan and China. So, people come into LA and San Francisco. Military people come into San Diego. So, yeah, if you're coming from that region and you're coming direct, you're probably going to come into California. Maybe Oregon or Washington, maybe more than likely not. So, I don't doubt that there could be new cases, but to all of a sudden have 8,400, this is being politicized, and our media is helping. I just don't know how more people don't see it. But to be honest, I mean, like I said, this video is more about introducing a new format where instead of talking about the news or a certain story, it's going to be my day. It's going to be maybe my week or every couple of days where it's just me talking and bringing something up. I mean, I put one out yesterday about Bernie saying he's going to help minorities sell weed. There was one that more people have gotten to before I did, where one, Joe Biden said 150 million people have been killed by guns. Well, where'd you get that number, Joe? Pull it out of your butt. But there's another clip where he says, I'm Joe Biden and I'm a Democratic candidate for United States Senate. If you don't like me, vote for the other Biden. This man has shown just very deliberate and detailed signs of early onset dementia, and possibly not early onset. But the Democrats want someone that they can prop up and use to get back into the White House. And it's just wrong. I mean, I doubt I'll talk about my work much because, one, there's a lot of things I can't talk about my work. And honestly, a lot of you probably understand that as well because, I mean, I'm not going to lie to you or hide the fact that I'm a customer service representative for a relatively small IT company, proprietary software. But that's really all I can say because I don't want to talk about my clients and I don't want to talk about situations because I can't. I can't talk about specific things because that would be violating my client's trust. But honestly, that's not really worth it to me because the multitude of customer service reps out there, you've heard every story there is anyway. I mean, I told the story I worked for a large airline when online travel planning was first being launched way back in 1996 and 7. And I had a lady who wanted me to download our entire flight schedule. I had to convince her that this was a mainframe the size of a football field, and I could not do it. She still didn't believe me. But then I finally got her flight booked, gave her bonus miles because our deal wasn't working, and I stepped in it. I said, is there anything else I can do for you? She said, yeah, my cup holder's broken. I jumped in, both feet squished around. Cup holder? Yeah, you push a button and it slides right out of the front of the computer. I wanted to tell that lady to shut down, unplug, box the thing up, and take it back to the store. I wanted to. I didn't. I fobbed her off. You'll need to contact your computer manufacturer support for that. And she thanked me and went about her merry way. That's just a generic IT story. Those are a dime a dozen on the internet. But as a historian, a history teacher, a social sciences teacher, I see so much going on that worries the living crap out of me. I've made references to Pol Pot, Mao Zedong, Genghis Khan, Stalin, Lenin, Chavez, Castro, Maduro, Hitler, because honestly, all of them did the same thing with just slight differences. It's really just Xi Jinping that has yet to be confined to history as a tyrant. But we have people now using tyrant tactics and ignoring it. I mean, quite literally, Antifa are flying what is a Nazi banner translated into English. It says Anti-Fascist League instead of the German equivalent. Same logo, everything. They're beating people up because they don't want you to be able to wear a hat or say certain things. They're blocking roadways and they're defacing property and they're destroying property. This is exactly what the Anti-Fascist League in Germany in 1939 did. It's exactly what the Brown Shirts did at the behest of the Nazi Party. Yet when you bring that up, you're called a Nazi and assaulted. And no one in the media is covering this. For crying out loud, Canada, the Liberals' bulwark, wonderful state of social medicine and gun control, and it's just perfect, had people blockading a train track, trying to set it on fire, and now reportedly they were armed with AK-47s. Not putting a lot of stock in that last one because I haven't found a reputable source on it, but I did cheekily reply, wait, Canada has gun control. AK-47s are illegal. How did they get them? But that kind of question is not asked. This is exactly what I would do were I teaching, I would bring something like that up, make the cheeky comment, and then make my students think about it and answer. Because I'm not there to teach them what to think. I'm there to teach them how to think. Yes, as a history teacher, I teach them what happened in the past. As a government teacher, I teach them about the Constitution and the laws of the land. Economics, same thing. Geography, where are things? But that's not what to think. Those are facts. But what you do with them is the how. And I want them to come to a conclusion. So that's where I'm kind of going with this, is I want my students to come to a conclusion. I want to talk about something and start a conversation where I lead people to a question and then get them to think about the answer in their own mind and in their own way. And that, honestly, that's going to start a better conversation. That's going to prompt more debate than me talking about the news. I'm not saying there won't be a story that's just so unavoidable that I won't talk about it, but I don't want that to be the main thing I do. I'm still working a lot of hours. We're getting ready for a lot of big things coming up in this year. So my plans on like actual social studies class material taking a back seat because I just don't have the time to put those lessons, as I'm going to call them, together. But they are coming as soon as I can get the time. And it may mean not taking weekend trips and not taking time off to go to little things with family so that I can, save up and get 2 weeks off of vacation and just sit and read and research and put together plans for certain things. But we'll see how that happens, how that works. But I've talked about this one long enough. I want to thank everyone who is a subscriber. If you're not, please subscribe, turn on notifications, and give the video a like. If I'm going to make a go of this, I definitely need the audience. Beyond that, let me know what you think. As always, stay civil. You don't have to agree, but you do need to be civil if you want to have a back and forth and have people actually listen when you try to make your point. Honestly, you'll learn more from disagreeing with someone civilly than you will agreeing with someone, civil or not. Because when you are challenged on an idea, you have to back that idea up with a lot of information. You may have to study and research, but that's a good thing. Again, please subscribe, turn on your notifications so that while I'm not on a schedule, you'll be notified when I am posting. And until next time, everyone have a wonderful day.